Alright, so I said last post that I would talk about the class that I was thinking of holding. I was thinking of holding a class on eduFire about just basically Acadian history, and and then I had written up a syllabus, and I think what I could do is actually, instead of just giving it on eduFire, I could record myself and then have a little sort of like maybe an open office presentation slide on YouTube, and me talking in the background explaining Acadian history. So, this is just a sort of brief outline of the syllabus that I sort of made up, and I'm sorry, and then you know, of course, I have no qualifications to teach whatsoever, so this is purely an amateur course. But I'd like to do some research and just get a feel of how it is to sort of give a class, and I guess it would be a good experience. So here's some of the syllabus. I've got a little intro thing here, but I'm not going to read that out because I did last time, and actually what happened is that this is my second recording because the last recording ran out of time. So I might try to make this one a bit faster. And the course is Intro to Acadian History. It's called A Story Worth More Than a Footnote, Acadian History from 1604 to the 21st Century. And more than a footnote because usually it's mostly ignored. Nobody really knows about Acadian history except Acadians, and even there we don't really know it that well either. So um, I thought that it would be nice to explain that um, you know the story of Acadians is it's a fascinating story. It's a story of it has all the elements of a great Hollywood movie, really. Like it has tragedy. It even have a love story in Evangeline, about a couple that's separated um, from deportation, and then and then after that you've got this people coming back and rebuilding society, rebuilding from the ashes, and really just it's a big, so I think and it falls within the whole North American history sphere. We know about Canadian history and American history and Mexican history and all these things, but within these countries, they're cultures, subcultures in a way, but it's not really subculture in the sense of like goths and whatever. But it's not even just subculture. It's actually there are cultures that exist within these larger entities called Canada and the U.S. Um, and it's not just one uniform Canadian culture. It's many elements, and this dates back very far. Um, so I'm just going to go over quickly and explain a bit um, the lectures, or the sort of each of these will be a sort of 1 hour lectures or classes. And so basically the first one is Samuel de Champlain and Pierre Dugua Sieur de Monts' commercial venture. And this is about how they they started, how Acadia came to be, how the idea of it came to be, how the expedition was founded, how why they set out, and and how they recruited people from Poitou and all these places, to head out to Acadia, and why the mostly men at this stage, I believe, probably completely men, but I haven't done so much research on this, so I can't. But I will if I give the course, of course. Head out to this not this new world, but the American continents, which because it's not new. The First Nations and so forth were already there. So, anyways, it didn't just appear, and it wasn't discovered either. But anyways, and after that, so the second lecture would be the first winter, or how Acadians came to trust their new neighbors, and this is about how they first settled there, and then it was really rough, and most of the people died. Um, but the First Nations there, I forget their name, but of course, if I would give this course, I would have all these details. Came to help them and all these things, and how they became really good friends with the Mi'kmaq people too. After that, settling Acadia, new land, new opportunities. Um, how the first very early phase of settling Acadia, building Port Royal, and the farms and all these things, and to the very that stage. After that, France, England, Spain. Acadia belongs to who now? Um, Spain, I included it. I heard, I need to do research this very thoroughly, but I heard that at some point Acadia could have become Spanish, and this was become the War of Succession or something for the Spanish crown. You know how Europe was really intertwined at that point, through the whole royalty system and everybody, serf and feudalism and all that. So anyways, but this is also about how Acadia constantly shifts from French to English hands, back and forth, and the Acadians are caught in the middle of this war. And then peace at last, Acadia under British authority, which is how okay, I've got 5 minutes here. How this was a time that after the that Acadia remained in British hands. This was actually a time where Acadia prospered, because there was no more war, so they could there was a population explosion and all these things. And after that, so stopping short of a genocide, the Great Acadian Upheaval. So the flip side of that is that after a while, of course, genocide is anachronistic term. It was only invented, I think, around World War II and so forth. But yeah, the upheaval, the deportation of Acadians, where the British decided that the Acadians were not to be trusted. They'll put them on a boat and just shove them out. It's instead of killing people, it's not a gas chamber or anything, but it's just taking entire people, and then deeming them as unwanted and then shipping them off to sea for wherever. Anyways, unwelcome guests, the reception of Acadian deportees, which is when they arrived in the mostly in the 13 colonies and so forth, they weren't welcome because you had a boatloads of French speaking Catholics. Probably a lot of them were sick, because they weren't in the best conditions on these boats. So some of them were quarantined for a very long time. More people were falling sick from being quarantined by other people, and then some of them were taken as slaves and so forth. A lot of people, I believe, I need to check up on this, were on these colonies had been had really bad experiences, to put it lightly, with had been discriminated against by Catholics back in Europe. So they had no intention to have more Catholics hanging around them. Anyways, after that, there's starting over, rebuilding Acadia from its ashes. This is how they were allowed to return, and the Acadians came back to what was Acadia, but now became New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, and later on Prince Edward Island, and how these places, how they try to build back their lives. Canada and Acadia becoming persons once again. This is how the Acadian Confederation granted rights and opportunities to Acadian people. Mostly the men, though, at this stage, but it's still a slow move in the right direction, I suppose. So more for country than for king, Acadian services in the world wars. This is about how Acadians served in the Canadian military, also in the American military, during World War I and World War II, and also in various other conflicts. I guess just in wars, and how they saw themselves. And then Louis Robichaud and the Frenchmen and Acadians. I've got 1 minute here. This is about how they rose prime ministership. Les partis acadiens down when English capitalism and long live free Acadia. I guess probably 1 hour for this is too much, but anyways. Modern Acadia, urbanization and its development, and lastly, Fort McMurray, the Acadian La Mesa, and its impact on assimilation. So that would be the course that I was thinking of giving. Just give me comments on if you think that would be interesting or not, and I might do that, and I think that could be fun. Alright.